Dakar Shadows of the Nameless Valley, Episode 6, Part 3. The second roar echoed through the valley long after the sound itself had faded. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The silence that followed felt unnatural, as though the entire world had stopped to listen. Andre stood in the center of room 12, staring at the words scratched across the wall. The second door is open. The message seemed almost alive in the flashlight beam. Every letter had been carved with incredible force, deep enough to expose the wood beneath the wallpaper. Whoever or whatever had written those words had done so in seconds, maybe less. The realization made his stomach turn. People did not simply vanish. Walls did not cover themselves in messages, and ancient roars did not rise from beneath the earth. Yet all of it was happening, right here, right now. The valley was changing, and the change was accelerating. The remaining villagers gathered downstairs. No one wanted to stay alone anymore. Furniture was pushed against the doors. Windows were covered with blankets. Candles were lit throughout the main room. Not because they provided much light. They didn't. But people felt safer looking at a flame than staring into darkness. The illusion of control mattered, even when it was false. Andre sat at a table near the fireplace. A rough map of the valley lay spread before him. It was old, very old. One of the documents he had recovered from the abandoned school weeks earlier. At first he had believed it was simply a historical artifact. Now he wasn't so sure. The map showed locations that no longer existed. A chapel, a cemetery, several structures hidden deep within the forest, and one symbol that appeared repeatedly. A circle surrounded by jagged lines. The same symbol he had seen beneath the buried church. The same symbol carved into the black mirror. And the same symbol that appeared in the notebooks of the missing children. Maria looked over his shoulder. "You think it's important?" "I think everything is important now." She nodded. That was probably true. The valley no longer allowed coincidences. Every clue seemed connected to something larger, something waiting beneath the surface. Andre pointed toward a section of the map near the northern forest. "What is this place?" Maria leaned closer. The faded writing was difficult to read, then her expression changed. "I know that name." "You do?" She nodded slowly. "My grandfather used to mention it." "What was it?" "A monastery." Andre looked up. "A monastery?" "That's what he called it." "I thought there were no monasteries in the valley." "There aren't anymore." A cold sensation ran through him. "What happened to it?" Maria hesitated. Then she answered quietly. "It disappeared." The room fell silent. Even the crackling fire seemed quieter. Andre stared at her. "Buildings don't disappear." Her expression suggested otherwise. "According to my grandfather, it happened more than 70 years ago. What exactly happened? No one knows." She sat down. "The monks lived deep in the forest. They rarely came into the village. They kept to themselves. And then one winter," she swallowed, "they were simply gone." The villagers nearby had started listening. Some of them nodded, others looked uncomfortable. The story was clearly familiar. "No bodies were found," Maria continued. "No signs of a struggle. The monastery was empty." Andre frowned. "Completely empty?" "Not exactly." "What was left?" Maria looked toward the darkness beyond the window. Her voice became softer. "Messages." A chill spread through the room. The word itself felt dangerous now. Messages. Always messages. Always warnings. Always signs that something had already arrived. "What did they say?" Maria's answer came immediately. "The first door opens." Silence. Absolute silence. Andre slowly sat back. The first door. The second door. The same pattern. The same language. The same warning. Something connected the monastery to what was happening now. Something important. Something forgotten. But before he could continue the conversation, A loud crash erupted from outside. Everyone jumped. A chair fell over. Someone screamed. Another crash followed. Closer this time. Wood splintering, glass breaking. The sound came from somewhere near the rear of the guest house. Andrei grabbed his flashlight. Several villagers did the same. Nobody wanted to investigate, but nobody wanted to ignore it either. Fear had trapped them between two terrible choices. Eventually, Andrei moved first. The others followed. The rear hallway was dark. The air felt colder there. Much colder. Every breath emerged as a cloud of white mist. The crash came again, directly ahead. Then silence. Andrei reached the final door. The storage room. The flashlight beam trembled slightly as he pushed it open. The room beyond was empty. At first. Then someone pointed upward. Andrei followed the beam. His blood froze. Something was hanging from the ceiling. Not a person. Not an animal. A collection of old objects. Dozens of them. Children's toys. Wooden dolls. Stuffed animals. Small shoes. Tiny coats. Every missing child from the valley seemed represented there. The objects swung slowly in the darkness, as though moved by an invisible wind. Nobody spoke. The sight was too disturbing, too deliberate, too cruel. And then Andrei noticed something else. A piece of paper hanging among the objects, folded neatly. Waiting. He stepped forward carefully. His hand trembled as he unfolded it. The message contained only 6 words. He knows you are looking. The room instantly felt colder. Maria backed away. Several villagers left immediately. One elderly woman began praying. Andrei stared at the paper. Something about the wording bothered him. Not, we know. Not, they know. He knows. A singular presence, one intelligence, one mind, watching, learning, waiting. That night, or what passed for night, the guest house became impossible to sleep in. The fear had become overwhelming. Every sound triggered panic. Every creak of wood. Every gust of wind. Every distant noise from the forest. The darkness outside felt alive. And perhaps it was. Around what should have been midnight, Andrei found himself unable to rest. He sat alone beside a window. A candle flickered nearby. Its weak flame reflected faintly in the glass. The darkness beyond stared back. For a while nothing happened. Then he noticed movement. Far away, at the edge of visibility, a figure, standing in the fog. Andrei immediately stood. The figure did not move. It simply watched. Tall, thin, impossible to identify. He raised his flashlight. The beam barely reached halfway. The figure remained untouched by the light, still watching, still waiting. Then another figure appeared, and another, and another. His heart began pounding. More silhouettes emerged from the darkness. Dozens, perhaps hundreds. They formed a line along the edge of the forest, perfectly still, not advancing, not retreating, watching, every single one facing the guest house. Andrei felt terror, unlike anything he had experienced before. The figures weren't random. They were organized, patient, like an army waiting for orders. A hand suddenly touched his shoulder. He nearly screamed. It was Maria. "What is it?" He pointed outside. Her face turned pale instantly. The figures remained there, silent, motionless, endless. For several seconds neither of them spoke. Then one of the silhouettes moved. Just one, a single step forward. Then another, then another. The others followed. Not running, not rushing, walking, slowly, deliberately, toward the guest house, toward them. Maria whispered something under her breath. A prayer. Andrei couldn't blame her. The sight felt unreal, like a nightmare made physical. The figures continued approaching, the distance between them and the building steadily shrinking. Then something unexpected happened. The ground beneath the valley shook violently. A powerful tremor, much stronger than before. People woke screaming, furniture overturned. The entire guest house groaned. Outside, the approaching figures stopped.
Every one of them froze. A deep sound emerged from beneath the earth. Not a roar this time, a heartbeat, one enormous heartbeat. Boom! The windows rattled. Boom! Dust fell from the ceiling. Boom! Andre felt it in his chest. A pulse, a rhythm, something gigantic awakening beneath the valley. The figures outside immediately retreated, not calmly, not slowly. They fled, vanishing into the fog, as though terrified of whatever had just moved below them. That realization frightened Andre more than their approach ever had, because if the things in the darkness were afraid, then something even worse was coming. The heartbeat echoed again, louder, closer. Boom! And from somewhere deep within the forest, a distant voice whispered through the darkness. A voice so low that it sounded almost like the wind. Yet Andre heard every word clearly. The third door is waiting. The heartbeat thundered once more, and somewhere beneath the valley, something ancient opened its eyes. End of part 3.